Hi, everybody. Welcome to English Digest. I'm Tom.
Hi, I'm Stephanie.
It is our TOEIC unit for today, and we're going to be talking about something quite interesting here. It's all about labor practices in the world, especially for people who work in factories, and the companies can take advantage of them. And we've got some kind of article today presented in the form of a TV news report, or I should say a TV or maybe even radio interview.
Could be, yeah. It might be TV because we've got Peter here who is reporting live from the steps of the Supreme Court building, and he's also interviewing someone whose name is Amal, who's a female. She's a woman, and she is an attorney or a lawyer. We're going to be following their interview. Peter's going to ask them all some questions about a class action lawsuit. Now, if you sue somebody, you're called the plaintiff. You think someone has hurt you or damaged you and you sue them for money. This isn't about police and being in trouble for breaking the law. But if you think someone has damaged you, hurt you financially, or maybe they ran into you with their car and you want to sue them, then you get a lawyer or an attorney, and they file something called a lawsuit. But if you see class action in front of that, you know that this class action lawsuit has a lot of plaintiffs, not just one. They get a group of people who all feel like they've been hurt. For example, maybe a pharmaceutical company made a drug that ended up hurting the people who took it. So you can sue that drug company and get rewarded money from the jury. Well, here is a class action suit, and it's a bunch of textile workers who were working for a company in Bangladesh, which is where a lot of our clothes are made because it's cheaper to have factories there. We're going to find out why the workers are angry, why they're upset, and why they're suing the company to get some money.
Okay, so let's get to it, everybody. Let's read the entire contents of our lesson right now, and we'll come right back really quickly to discuss it. This is Peter Marks reporting live from the steps of the Supreme Court building. I'm here with human rights lawyer Amal Khan, who is about to present a case that could have a global effect. Could you tell me what this case involves, Amal?
Thank you, Peter. Today I'm filing a class action lawsuit on behalf of textile workers at a company in Bangladesh. These workers are held to strict production quotas and are often the subject of abuse by managers. Inspectors have reported that the women in this factory suffer from exhaustion and injury and are punished if they take time off to recover. What's worse, they aren't allowed to use the bathroom during work hours and rarely have access to clean drinking water.
That sounds terrible. Is this common in the textile industry?
Unfortunately, it is. Fast fashion brands cycle through clothes quickly, which puts a lot of pressure on production. That's why more and more factories are being opened in developing countries, where worker protection laws aren't as strict and are seldom enforced. With so many companies abusing the system, it's important to change the laws to protect these workers.
What kind of policy change might come out of this?
My hope is that Bangladesh and other countries will create better protections for workers' unions and put tougher regulations on factories to keep workers well paid, safe, and healthy.
Well, best of luck with the case. This has been Peter Marks speaking to Amal Khan. Okay, everybody, let's discuss the contents of today's lesson for your learning pleasure. And the title is the real cost of fashion, unfair labor practices. If you talk about the cost of something, that usually refers to how much money you have to pay for something. But oftentimes, if we talk about the cost of something, that means what we have to suffer, what the compromise is.
What the sacrifice is.
Indeed. So this is the real cost of fashion. If we're going to support the fashion industry, well, there's a downside to it. Some people might suffer. People have to work really hard. You could also say that the cost of fashion involves lots of clothes that people just wear once and then they throw them away and it's a big waste and they fill up landfills and they can't be recycled easily. So that could be a cost to the environment or something like that. So, yeah, we're asking this question or we're trying to answer this question. The real cost of fashion. What is the cost of fashion? What are some sacrifices that people are making? And it goes on to say unfair labor practices. Labor here just has to do with work. People who work jobs like in a factory or on a farm or wherever.
Especially work that is physical and not just mental. The folks that have to use their bodies, their hands to produce some sort of product. Yeah. You'll often see this phrase, unfair labor practices, when you're talking about production of some sort of product where the workers aren't treated fairly. So let's talk about this. So we've got a reporter, Peter Marks, and he's reporting live from the steps of the Supreme Court building. If you're reporting live, it means it's not pre-recorded. You're not listening to a recording. This is actually a live stream. So he's actually speaking at the same time you're watching him or listening to him talk. And when you talk about the Supreme Court building, that's the highest court in the United States where maybe lower courts will rule on something. They'll decide someone's guilty or not guilty. And then it will perhaps be appealed, which means you take it to the higher court and they'll judge whether they thought that that ruling that the lower court made was fair. Or they can do something called overturning it. Well, if you're at the Supreme Court, that's the last court in the whole nation. So whatever they decide will be law from then on.
Exactly. So, yes, Peter Marks is reporting. Maybe he's on TV, on the radio, or as you said, live streaming online. And he goes on to say, I'm here with human rights lawyer Amal Khan. Human rights, of course, has to do with making sure people are guaranteed their rights. They're not treated like animals. They're not treated like crap, etc. They're given basic rights. And the lawyer here is Amal Khan, and she is about to present a case to the Supreme Court that could have a global effect. It could have consequences all over the world. Global just means having to do with the whole world. It could affect companies and workers in every country of the world. And he's got a question here. Could you tell me what this case involves, Amal? Yes, what are some specific things about this case that you'd like to tell us about?
Right. So I kind of talked about this at the beginning already, but what she's doing here, she says, I'm filing a lawsuit. Class action is the type of lawsuit she's filing. To file something here just means you actually fill out the appropriate documents and papers and then submit them to the court. And then what happens is a date is chosen for you and whoever you're suing. They're the defendants. They decide on a date where you both go into court and talk in front of a jury and a judge, and that's when a decision is made on who wins the case. Here, we're talking about a lawsuit. So it's a claim or a dispute that people bring to the court because they can't settle it amongst themselves.
If you're a lawyer representing somebody, then you do it on someone's behalf. So that's what Amal is doing today.
Yes.
She's filing a class action lawsuit on behalf of her clients who are textile workers at a company in Bangladesh. Textile means having to do with thread, with cloth, with clothing, etc., etc. A lot of our clothes are made in Bangladesh. I think they used to be made in China, but maybe prices have gone up a bit or something.
Yeah.
So now they're starting to make clothing in other countries like Bangladesh. That's a country that I believe is between India and Myanmar, if I'm not mistaken. And these workers are held to strict production quotas and are often the subject of abuse by managers. So they're held to strict production quotas. In other words, they are expected to produce a certain number of things during the workday. And I suppose if they don't meet those quotas or those amounts that they're supposed to meet, then they'll be punished in various ways. Maybe they will be taken out and beaten or whipped, or they will be denied food or something like that. Or they will be put, on those one kind of wheels where they get stretched out and stuff like that. No, they wouldn't. They wouldn't do that. Of course, I'm just exaggerating. Yeah. No, but they'll probably be punished by having their salary withheld,
maybe,
or forced to work overtime, or they'll lose some benefits, or they might even get fired.
Yeah, they might. So a quota is just a number that you must reach every day. Maybe your boss says, I want you to finish making 5 shirts every day. And if you don't reach that number, you're going to be punished. So that's a quota. So these workers were held to strict production quotas, meaning the number of items or products they had to produce. And they're often the subject of abuse. If you're the subject of abuse, it means you're the person who's being abused or hurt by someone else. And here, they're subjects of abuse by managers. So the supervisors or managers within that factory are treating them horribly. They're abusing them when they don't maybe reach those quotas. There are different kinds of abuse. You can abuse someone by hitting them and hurting their body, or calling them names and hurting them mentally or emotionally. Here, I want to point out that this is the noun form of the word abuse. And listen to the pronunciation. It's an S sound, abuse. But if you use the verb form, it's a different pronunciation. I'm sorry. And it's a Z sound, abuse. Don't abuse people.
Right, so you might be the victim of child abuse if one of your parents beats you when you're a kid, or you could be the victim of spousal abuse. Your husband beats you or your wife beats you. That would be an example of abuse where they are abusing you. And yes, indeed, these workers in factories are often the subject, or they are subject to abuse by their managers and inspectors. People have gone into these factories, people who have gone into these factories and have taken a look at things. These inspectors have reported various things. They've noticed some things, and they reported that the women in this particular factory suffer from exhaustion. Exhaustion, of course, is when you've worked really hard and you're really, really tired. You'll suffer from exhaustion, for example, if you run a marathon for the first time. Gee, after you're done, you might want to sleep for 2 or 3 days straight without waking up. And so they suffer from exhaustion. They also suffer from injury, getting hurt on the job, working with machinery. They get cut or they break a bone or something. And also they are punished if they take time off to recover. So if they suffer from exhaustion or if they suffer from injury, they might want to take time off. So here we've got this verb phrase, to take time off, which means that you basically 请假, basically.
Yeah.
You could take the day off. Gee, I'm kind of tired. I'm going to take the afternoon off, or I have a dentist appointment this afternoon. I'm going to take the afternoon off. Or you might take a whole day off or something because you're sick or whatever. But hey, these ladies can't do that because they might get punished.
Yeah, and if you want to say how much time, you can either say, I'm going to take a day off, I'm going to take a week off, I'm going to take some time off. So what's worse than that, though, this is even worse, they aren't allowed to use the bathroom during working hours.
Wow.
And I know sometimes their work hours can be as long as 12 hours. They work longer days in factories than we do, especially in developing countries that don't protect workers. And they rarely have access to clean drinking water, the water they drink. So it does sound terrible, as Peter says. And he asks them all, is this common? Do you find this happening a lot in the textile industry? And Amal says, unfortunately, it is common, which is terrible. Fast fashion brands. There are certain brands, especially fashion brands, that come out with a new line of clothing every season. So every fall, every summer, they have new clothes. And of course, people in the factories have to produce those. So there's a quick turnover or turnaround in the fashion industry, and that puts a lot of pressure on the people producing the clothes. That's why more and more factories are being opened in developing countries. Tom talked about that. They used to produce a lot of things in China, but because wages have gone up in China, now clothes are being made in other countries.
That's right. So in those developing countries like Bangladesh, the worker protection laws aren't as strict and they are seldom enforced. And companies like that, they got the worker protection laws, but they're not very strict. So, hey, we can abuse our workers. We can force them to work 12-hour days and punish them if they don't meet their quotas. And those rules aren't enforced either. You don't have police fining the companies for abusing their workers. And Amal goes on to say, with so many companies abusing the system, taking advantage of the system, it's important to change the laws to protect these workers. And that's what Amal is fighting for, to change those lax laws that are seldom enforced.
Lax? Lax just means...
Not very strict, not very severe.
LAX, yeah.
Very weak, basically.
Yeah.
LAX, lax laws. And Peter's got another question for Amal here. He asks, what kind of policy change might come out of this?
Well, Amal hopes that Bangladesh and other countries will create better protections for workers' unions and put tougher regulations on factories that will keep these workers well-paid, safe, and healthy. It's nice that they are able to work. You know, in some of these countries, people are really poor. Yep. There aren't enough jobs. So we're glad that the factories are there, but they need to help protect the workers a lot more. Tougher here just means stronger, something that's not so weak. If someone tells you you need to be tougher, it's really easy for you to cry if you're upset. You gotta be a little tougher. My dad used to say that to us growing up. Be tougher. Just be stronger. Don't let people boss you around or bully you. Well, she's hoping that the country of Bangladesh and other countries that have similar problems will come up with stronger, stricter regulations that are enforced. We've got a lot of laws that aren't enforced. Just some laws aren't enforced as strictly. Well, she's hoping they'll come up with tougher regulations to keep these workers safer, happier, and healthy.
Okay, and we've reached the end of the interview, so Peter wraps things up here. He says, well, best of luck with the case. Hope you can file that case with the Supreme Court and, help those workers out in Bangladesh and in other developing countries. And then Peter turns things back to the studio. He says, this has been Peter Marks speaking to Amal Khan. And that's the end of his report. And that's the end of our explanation. Right now, we're going to take a little bit of a break and listen to our Chinese teacher.
Hi everyone, my name is Jenny. 今天我们要看的是第11单元。好，这个标题呢，要谈的是血泪成衣工厂。大家有听过 fast fashion 这个称呼吗？我们知道现在流行的是快速时尚，所以呢，它的循环速度非常的快。而这个对话内容要谈的，就是因为快速时尚的影响，很多劳工他在工厂里其实是受到不公平的待遇。好，这个对话里面有两位主角，一位是 Peter 呢，他是记者，另外还有一位呢是 Alma 是一位女的律师。好，我们来看一下。首先呢 Peter 他在现场报道，所以他是 reporting live。好，这个 live 指的是一个副词的用法，表示是现场报道的。好，那它的位置在哪里呢？它人就在最高法院建筑的阶梯上。好，这边提到最高法院 The Supreme Court。 接下来呢，就要说了，他要介绍的主角其实是这一位律师阿玛，所以阿玛就接着说了，Today I'm filing a class action lawsuit。我们先看到这个动词 file。这个动词呢，当你在提法律诉讼的时候，要提出法律诉讼，用这个动词。好，那这边 lawsuit 跟它可以说是搭配词的用法。他今天呢，就要帮这些纺织工人提出集体诉讼案。那到底发生什么事呢？他说到，这些工人怎么样？The workers are held to strict production quotas.Be held to 这个在中文就是受制于。好，他们有非常严格的生产定额，而且呢，其实他们经常是主管们的虐待的对象 ，the subject of abuse。好，我们知道这样子的问题，当然可以从这边下面的说明知道怎么样的虐待法。比如说，他们呢不能够因为身体不舒服想要请假，这是会被罚的。还有连上班期间都不能用洗手间，也没办法喝到干净的水。我们知道这边有一个片语 have access to something 就表示有通往什么的管道，也就是你可以得到什么物品等等，或者是资源。好，那我们接下来看 Peter 就说，哇，听起来真的是很糟糕，那请问这是常见的吗？好，律师就说了，真的是如此。那这边就提到了 fast fashion brands， 也就是我们说的快速时尚品牌，因为这些品牌他们其实淘汰率非常的快，在一段时间之内就会有新的成品出来，这也相对的就对生产线这边给了很多的压力。那所以说，这也就是接下来我们要谈的，开发中国家这里有很多这样的工厂。我们看到开发中国家要怎么说呢？注意到这个 developing 加 ing， 当然这就是开发中。好，谈到 developing countries， 这一边有很多的成衣工厂，而且这是血泪工厂。但是你注意到，在 developing countries 后面逗点接了一个 where。好，一定要注意 where 像这种字，这是关系副词哦。那它当然又逗点隔开，表示是一个非限定用法，后面这边补充说明用，补充说明的，也就是说在这些开发中国家里面的情形，所以用 where 等于是取代了 in developing countries。 好，那后面又说了，为什么要在开发中国家？其实理由很简单，因为这边的工人基本上他的工人保护法律比较不那么严谨，而且也没有真的照章执行。好，注意到有一个 as strict， 基本上我们知道 strict 就是严格的，但是我们往往用比较级的时候，如果你用 as 加一个形容词或者是副词，再加一个 as， 表示这两者之间的比较性，它没有像别的，比如说以开发国家那么的严谨。那为什么只有停到 as strict？ 当然后面的讲的 as in developed countries 是没有写出来的，不过你前后文不写出来也算是清楚，所以可以省略掉。那接下来就说了 with so many companies abusing the system， 这又碰到一个重要的句构了，而且我们常常看到 with 这个介系词，它有一种句型就是 with 介系词后面加一个受词，还有一个补语。好，这个补语的位置上出现的字要特别的注意，像你这边 with so many companies， 补语呢abusing 它是一个动作，你会改成分词。那分词如果是主动，这个跟这个受词的关系是主动语态，你就会用 VING。 好，那继续呢，接下来 当然，律师他还有一些进一步的解释，要回答说，我们以后有可能什么样的改变？这边他就提到，他希望呢，孟加拉还有其他的国家，他会对工会创造出更好的法律措施。那我们来看工会怎么讲。工会其实就是 union 这个字，所以如果说能够制定更好的保护措施的话，而且有更严格的法规的话，那工人们就能够维持高薪，然后又安全又健康，这当然是他们希望达到的目的。这里有一个又来了哦 VOC， 注意到 keep 这个动词，它的用法里面就是后面接受词，像这里就是 workers， 那他们希望让工人们怎么样？这个 C 的部分，也就是补语的部分，就是这几个形容词，像 well paid， 像 safe， 像 healthy。好，我们今天讲解就到这边结束，我们下次见。
We're going to take a quick break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back, guys. We've got some extra dialogues. Why don't you go ahead and do Peter there?
Peter says, what can everyday consumers do to support workers' rights?
Research the brands you buy from and support ones that use ethical production standards. It only takes a few minutes. You can find information on websites like goodguide.com. Fair trade certified brands are also a great way to spend your money. Yeah, just support the companies that are actually practicing fair labor practices, that they're treating their workers better. I think that's important. Moving on to the next one. Go ahead, Peter.
I see you finished presenting your case, Amal. What was the result?
I think it went well. The judge said he would move the case forward. It's a slow process, but I think we're one step closer to making a real impact. Sometimes if you file a lawsuit, you meet with a judge and he listens to what kind of case you have. And if you don't have a good case, he throws it out. We actually say that. He throws the case out, meaning you can no longer go forward and actually sue that person. So, it looks like Amal made some progress and they're going to go ahead and have a trial.
And here's the final conversation here. Peter says, what are some other cases you've taken on as a human rights lawyer?
She says, I've represented LGBTQ people who've been fired from their jobs, and I've also fought for immigrants in danger of being sent back to their countries of origin.
So she's accepted some cases for human rights, working in clothing factories, but she's also taken on cases for LGBTQ people. What is that? Lesbian, gay, bisexual, transsexual, queer? And anyway, she's taken on cases for those kinds of people. And so she likes to fight for the little people, I guess we could say. And here are some discussion questions. Do you try to buy products made from ethical sources? What are some things you can do to encourage ethical buying?
Well, I, for one, don't support Apple because
Really?
of their factory conditions. Yeah, they've had a lot of people actually commit suicide because the working conditions are bad in the factories. Hopefully, they're getting better, but I don't support Apple. Do you look out for companies that are more ethical?
Not really. I suppose I will now, but this fast fashion thing to me is kind of silly. Because I basically wear the same clothes that I've been wearing for the last 5 or 6 years. They're perfectly good clothes, perfectly good shirts. Why keep changing clothes? Why keep buying things? But, of course, people who work in those factories depend on that income, so it's kind of hard to decide what's right there.
Yeah, the fashion industry is pretty big for most people, especially for women. But for some guys, too, we encourage you to look out and see if you can support those ethical companies. That's it for now. We got to sign off, but we'll be back to talk a little bit more about life inside the factory and some of the worker stories. But right now, we're going to say goodbye. We hope you'll join us again soon for English Digest. I'm Stephanie.
And I'm Tom. Goodbye.
Bye.